Welcome to Purposeful Living with Cynthia Van Warmer, where we slow down long enough to see what's really happening and take our power back without losing our grace.
So somebody's listening to your podcast right now. There's somebody out there who really, they purposefully clicked on this. They're like, I need to learn how to stop reacting in these situations and instead intentionally respond. Like, I feel like I've been giving my power up and they literally want to listen to how you've been able to overcome this and what you do in that scenario because they really need help with this. So going to the first question, I would love to hear, like, when you think about a time in your past where maybe you were reacting and you hadn't fully learned how to respond yet, share a little bit about like what was going on. Like, tell us a little bit about like, where were you reacting instead of choosing how you show up on purpose in the past?
That's a great question, Marc. So in my past, I started a beauty business. I had been in the business for 18 months, and my husband, one day out of the blue, how much money are you making? You don't know how to run a business. So reacting with anger, frustration, lashing out is how I reacted. I could have, knowing now what I know, just paused and took a step back and said, and asked him some questions like, what do you mean by that? Get his thought process about, you don't know how to run a business. Well, what do you mean by that? Is it because I'm not making money? Right? But reacting instead of intentionally telling myself, how do you want to show up in this moment? Looking back, I would have changed that. That's not me. I don't want to be angry or frustrated with my husband or anybody else that I come into contact with. That's just like, oh my God, I showed up that way? Do I really want to show up that way? So the difference between the response and the actual reaction is the reaction is not how I want to show up. How I respond in that moment is going to change how I'm heard, how I'm seen by others.
So following up on that, because I kind of heard like how you reacted in that moment. But I would love to hear, because I know that a lot of times when we experience this stuff, it's not stuff that is just contained in that one area, but it sometimes bleeds into other areas. So when you, like, let's say you choose not to take control of this stuff, what do you think ultimately will happen if you don't?
Well, what was ultimately happening was every area of my life. Anytime he was to say something to me or give me criticism, I would lash out without even thinking. My brain was just trying to keep me safe. Nope, just being angry. And then it carried into the workplace, my relationship with my children. It was just like that ripple effect where anytime anybody said something that my brain thought was criticism, I'm lashing out. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. Why would they say this kind of stuff to me?
So thinking about that, I want you to like give us a way that maybe you helped yourself when it comes to showing up more intentional in that moment, and maybe even giving us like some ideas. If you could go back and do that again, like what would you do differently? So start with the first one is like, how do you get yourself in that moment when somebody says something, you typically will go down and react out of anger. How do you get yourself to like stop and be intentional in that moment?
I pause. I pause and think of something else on purpose.
Mm.
I don't want my brain to always think about something's wrong, broken, and missing. I want me to pause and say, okay, here's the reality. I know I can't change the reality, but how do I want to show up in this moment? Do I want to go down the path of anger, or do I want calm and beautiful? It's a choice. And throughout all my podcasts, I'm going to be repeating like really important phrases because it's super important for us not only to process, but for our brain to hear it and see it multiple times so that eventually we're on autopilot and we just do without thinking. The good thinking, right? We call them perspectives in coaching. Some people call them stories or thoughts. That we can think on purpose to show up the way we want to show up. So in that instance, if that was to happen again in the past, where you're not good at your business, I would say, oh, I appreciate your criticism. Can you tell me more about that? Like, I just want to understand your thought process on why you don't think I'm good at business. In that kind of tone, and not snippy and aggressive and all of that kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, who would you rather have a conversation with? Somebody that's angry? Or somebody who is calm and just asking you questions on why you think that? I know what I would choose. The calm.
So I'm sure that this just happened overnight where you learned this of like instantly being able to be in the moment. I'm curious if there was something that happened that helped you to get yourself to take that pause, whether it's a situation that happened or something you learned, like what helped you to be able to create that space?
There's been multiple different things in my growth process to get me to this point. One is your certifications, our one-on-one calls, me becoming a master coach and having my own business. I was done. You will hear me tell you this story over and over and over again. When I became aware of how I was showing up and how people were seeing me and hearing me and criticizing, I said, I'm done. That's not who I want to be. That's not how I want my kids to remember me when I'm gone. I want them to say, Cynthia was a great human who was caring, loving, compassionate, but was also outspoken and bold because she wanted to help people. She wants to help people to live that fullest life with purpose and intention, on purpose. My daughter, my mom was great. I'm so proud of her. She's starting a podcast. She's my world. Those are the kind of things that we want to be remembered for. Not that angry lady who could never say anything nice.
So I want to go to that place real quick because I know the relationship you have with Courtney and how amazing it is. But I would love to hear, like, what are your personal results that you've experienced by you showing up intentionally instead of reacting?
The version of me who is a powerful leader, the confidence that I've built, the emotional control that I have now, instead of suppressing it, avoiding it, now I'm processing it. The influence in the rooms that I'm in, every room. Whether I'm here by myself, I'm in a room and I'm showing up the way that I want. And the alignment versus the performance. Once everything's in alignment, then the performance is a breeze.
Mm. There's somebody who gets to the end of this episode. What is like one thing you want to make sure they take from today?
You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to be perfect. We just need to be aware. We need to be aware. How do I want to show up? What do I want? How do I want others to see me? And yet, times can be tough. And people see that who are around us every day. People are going to see this on my podcast. Yes, times are hard and difficult. But the way that we actually show up makes a huge difference in everything we do, everybody we meet, everybody we have a conversation with, people we know, people we don't know, right? That's what I would like everybody to take away from this episode.